Hey guys, this is going to be a real quick and easy how-to video. It's going to show you how to remove your fuel tank, how to get to your air filter, how to get to your ECU, pretty much the basics for what you need to do a lot of different pieces of work for. And it's important because our manuals here are pretty much useless. They say take it to a dealer for pretty much everything except an oil change, and that's just ridiculous. All right, step one is to put it up on a rear stand and take your seat off. Next, we're taking off this black center trim piece. There are two quick connects on the top, and then two on the inside, one on each bottom corner. You can see it right in the middle of your frame there. And to take these off, we just push on the middle. I like to use a little end of an Allen wrench. So these little push pins are really neat. They hold a lot of different trim panels together. And as you can see, it's got a little hole in the center. That's what I'm pushing on to release it. And it just pops and it just sinks a little bit. You're not pushing the pin out. You're just pushing it down until it clicks. And what that does is releases this little mushroom part and allows it to slide out of the panel. Now to reinstall it, you push it down so it looks like a turkey thermometer, so it's sticking up, and you slide it into the panel. And then you just push this down with your finger until it clicks flush and it's locked in place. And that's all there is to these. Next up are these two side panels. The one that says FZ09, or yours may say MT09. We've got one bolt back here, and then two quick connectors. Do not touch these here. These are just for holding that decorative screen in place. We don't do anything with that. Two quick connectors. You can see one right there at the top corner and one down here at the very bottom corner. I know it's pretty tough to see because it's kind of hidden, but you can see it if you stick your head in there. There we go. Barely see it. And now we can remove the panel. Now we're going to pull it straight back from this rearmost bolt. There is a post right in the middle. It goes through a rubber grommet, so that's the only thing holding it on right now. Just pull it straight out. It'll just eventually pop out, kind of like pulling off a spark plug boot. Don't worry, you're not going to break it. Just pull it gently till it pops. I'll show it to you when it's off here. And that's it. So I got this big post in here and it just slips right in this grommet. Bada bing, bada boom. Do the same thing with the other side, obviously. Now to just take these two little pieces of rubber trim, fold them back off the tank, and just let it dangle there. Now we have a whopping 4 bolts to take off to remove the tank. We have one on each side at the front, one here, one on the other side, and two, hey now, just bumped my mirror, two right here. Don't forget the big washer on these side bolts. Now this is going to be a little awkward just because of, again, the camera angle. But what we're going to do now is lift up on the back using this little ledge here, or if you have a helper, just have them lifted up by the side. And what we're looking for are 2 little vent hoses, and there isn't much slack here, so just bring it up a few inches. Okay, it's not heavy, even if it's full of fuel. This is only 30 pounds. Whoop-de-doo. These 2 rubber lines, they're coming straight down right here. There are 2 little pinch connectors on them, and you can't see them because they're about 1 inch above this lip right here. Okay, just grab one of the lines, follow it up. You'll feel the pinch connector. These are just the overspill lines. I'll show you the connector here when I get it off. Slide the connector down a little bit off the barb, and it is just a tiny little spring. It's not anything you need a tool for. And then just gently pop the line off. Give it a little wiggle. If it's the first time, it'll be a little stuck. So here's one of the lines that we disconnect. You can see it's just an easy little spring clamp. That's what you're sliding down. And what helps, especially the first time to get these off, is, again, like a spark plug boot, twist while you are pulling down. And it pops right off. There are 2 of them. Don't worry, they're molded in place, and they'll kind of fall exactly where they go left and right. They're next to each other about 1 inch apart. It doesn't even matter if you mix them up, they go down to the same place. Here's where you want to do a little prep. Make yourself a really thick cushion to sit back here on the rear frame. I've just got a whole bunch of old towels that the wife doesn't really care about. If they get a little greasy, they just go in the wash. You can use an old blanket, anything to put some real good padding back here, because what we're going to do is put this tank and just set it back here out of the way. So obviously you don't want anything sharp contacting anything plastic or anything cutting, or no damage. That's the point. So get yourself something nice and cushy. What we're going to do is pick the tank up, just grab it in the front, grab it in here, and we're going to rotate it clockwise, because the high pressure fuel line and electrical cables are already kind of twisted in that direction. You don't want to keep going this way. So we're just going to pick it up, and even if it's full of fuel, you're only talking about 30 pounds, but by all means, if you need a helper, grab a second pair of hands. So we're just going to slowly pull it straight up. Do not try to pull it straight up off the bike, because it will scratch your handlebars. So you just want to give yourself some clearance. Move it backwards a little bit and spin it, and watch the handlebars. Then carefully just set it back down, making, of course, sure that it's not going to go anywhere. Make sure it's centered and not going to tip. There we go. Very secure, nice and wide. There's plenty of space back here. And now we've given ourselves clearance, and you can see these are the two vent lines, and they just plug in right here to the tank. Now, if you ever do need to remove the tank completely off the bike, there's just one electrical connector. And like I said, the high pressure fuel line, you just have to make sure that you have something there to mop up the fuel that's going to come out once you disconnect that line. It's not going to pour out of the tank, but it will drain somewhat out of the line. You're going to have probably an ounce of fuel kind of dribbling everywhere. And you could completely remove this. You could do that now if you wanted to. There's just no reason to. There's no reason that you need to remove this completely for any normal maintenance. That would be for like a repair. So now we can clearly see the air box itself. This is the cover. And we just have a whole bunch of Phillips screws, big stainless steel, shiny Phillips screws. This cover is going to come off. We've got our ECU sitting right here on top, and they put it here on top in the intake to keep it cool, because it's cooled by the intake air. So if you need to flash your ECU or swap it out or send it somewhere, here it is. You've got your two electrical connectors right here, and it slides out. You know, it's just it's a big old cartridge. That's all it is. So we're going to go ahead and pop open our cover, just undo these Phillips screws. The secret to getting these plugs off the ECU are these little tabs right down here at the bottom. All you do is take a screwdriver and push them up, and then pull the plug straight back off. And our airbox cover is free! We've got our ECU cables. You just slide them through the little opening, and voila. So here's our air filter. This is a stock paper unit. It's just a cartridge. Goes in kind of like a furnace filter, only goes in one way. Your clean part faces up, and it just slides in this slot. Really can't screw it up. It's got foam on the outside. You can replace it with a quote-unquote high performance or high flow type washable filter. Look, frankly, this is not a performance bottleneck by any stretch of the imagination. This is giving you the exact same horsepower as anything else. It may as well not be here as far as the engine goes. This is not restricting you. Okay, could you save a tiny bit of money by getting a washable one, which means you won't have to buy so many of these? Sure, but you replace this every 24,000 miles. Come on, man. They're like 35, 40 bucks. Whoopity-doo. And the washable ones aren't that much cheaper. So seriously, what are you doing it for? Wiggle it gently back into place. Just make sure you don't damage the foam on the sides on the way down. Snug it up. And that's all there is to your air filter, getting to your ECU. Now while I'm in here, I'm going to run a custom power plug for a little project I want to do for mounting an X-grip. And it's just easier to run my wires here out of the way underneath the tank. So here's my plan for this power adapter. I've got this unit here. I'll put a link to it down below. Got it from Amazon. Super cheap. It's a dual outlet. Both of them are high voltage, so they can charge any device. I use it for mainly running GPS, which I use on my phone, but I've also plugged in my GoPro, my Cena unit, other things like that. So it's very advantageous to have dual ports, I've found, and both of them high voltage as opposed to just a 1 amp. Those aren't too common these days, but make sure that if you do get one, both of them are high power. Now what I'm going to do is mount it here, and it'll be more apparent when it's all said and done exactly how I'm going to use it, but it's going to be hidden down here. Here's my reasoning for exactly what I'm going to do. My FJR is my primary bike. All right, this is my touring bike. I don't mind if stuff is on here permanently. I use my GPS in my X grip here all the time. I never take it off. I've got a waterproof power adapter built into the bike in the glove box. Just plug it in and go. I'm very rarely going to be using GPS on the FZ09, so I don't want to look at the stuff sitting there permanently every day. So this is going to be completely out of sight until I need it. And it has a standard battery tender type connector on the end. I love running these. I've got a little pigtail here that I'm going to install onto the battery. They're great. They give you the standard connector, and you can run all kinds of equipment off this connector. For example, a air compressor that has a fuse, by the way. You can run, obviously, the battery tender, charger. You can run power adapters. You can run heated equipment like jackets, all kinds of stuff work with these standard connectors. So the pigtail is going to go on. This is going to be Velcroed up here. You could alternatively use, a permanent mounting tape or something like that, but I actually use a combination most of the time. If you get Velcro, I suggest something that's high strength and low profile. It's a lot easier to work with. Usually the adhesive on the Velcro, even though it says high strength, isn't that great. What I actually suggest you use, where did that go, is 3M high strength extreme mounting tape. It's the red stuff, all right? They use this stuff for actually bonding auto panels, body perk. It's super strength, all right? This is great. This will hold anything on. It's not permanent. It will come off. You can peel it off of something later on if you want to take it off, but this will not come unstuck, and it's completely weather tight. So what I do is I use this on the back of the Velcro pieces and then mount that. It's especially good for mounting to an irregular surface like this here. It's got a little knurling on the rubber. I know that the stock sticky stuff on that Velcro would not do very good on this, but this will, absolutely. And a little goes a real long way with this stuff. You do not need much. It typically comes in 2 widths. This is the wide roll, and you can get it at Home Depot or Walmart. Here's the trick. In Walmart, they put it in 2 different locations in the store. Check in the automotive section and in the craft section. They'll have it split there, and they'll usually have different sizes and different prices. One will be a lot cheaper than the other. So that's my tip there. Combination of the Velcro, the 3M tape. I'm going to stick this up here. I'm going to run the cable basically behind the frame here along with the other stock wiring, and it's just going to be hidden and tucked in under the way right to the battery, to the end of the connector, to the pigtail. Okay, I got it where I like it. So I've got the unit stuck up here. I put the 3M Super Velcro, or I'm sorry, the 3M Super Adhesive on the Velcro. Here's a tip with that. When you unroll it, put the side that doesn't have plastic protection on it against the most sticky part of whatever you're trying to stick together. So I put the adhesive side of the Velcro against that, the black side of the 3M tape. And then you peel off the red layer of the 3M tape, and that's the super sticky side. Put that against the unit, because that's the least sticky, and it holds no problemo. And then, of course, I put the soft piece here on the bike. Bada bing, bada boom. I've got a weatherproof cover on it. Works great, dual ports. And when you're sitting on the bike, you can't see it because the cowling piece comes up to about here. So it's there. You can plug into it, just lean over the bike and use it, plug into it, but it's completely out of sight. You can't see it from the front at all. It's great, perfect. Wire, I just ran it straight down following the factory wires. Tucked it up under here. One little zip tie against the factory loom just to keep it from moving. Ran it under here on top of the throttle cables, just under the loose clip there. And one more little zip tie right up in there on the rear brake line. And then that leaves this little bit here, which will go right around the seat mount into the battery area. Now I'm just going to put everything back together. Assembly is exactly reverse. Obviously I screwed the airbox back down. You put your ECU in, clip it, screw it back down. That's good to go. Tank, remember to swing it back around counterclockwise, putting it on. And of course, if you need a helper again, go ahead and use them. 4 bolts to put that on. We're going to put our panels back on. I guess I'll show you how to do all that as I do it. It's really no big deal. You know, just put the bolts back in and I'll wire up the back and we're done with this project. Woohoo! There we go, all buttoned up. Got the pigtail on, route your wires appropriately. Perfect length. I purposely didn't get one that was super long so I wouldn't have extra to hide. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but of course, make sure it doesn't interfere with your forks. Turn them all the way to the side, whichever unit you get. Mine fits just in there in that one particular spot. You know, of course, dry fit it first. Make sure it's good. Perfect. So now I've got easy USB dash power whenever I need it, and it's completely hidden whenever I don't. Good to go. Hope this helps somebody. Stay tuned for tons of more videos coming up, both about the FZ09 and still the FJR. Lots of blogs, trips, all kinds of more cool stuff coming up soon. See ya!